people have contacted me from MrBeast Empire and like, would you like Feastables chocolate bars? I'm like, no, unless I've got to set fire to something on an island and keep the fire going, I'll throw them on then.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast, probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Dawson himself. Pete, how the devil goes your life?
Whoa, changing that up after a week in a camper van with Connor and Pete and everyone. Good God. When I joined this sorry little record, I commented that Chris Broad's hair has gotten so long and so full and so beautiful. He looked like the burglar out of Home Alone. And he's
not
very
Joe
upset
Pesci,
at that.
the other one.
But not Joe Pesci, the other guy. I'm trying to remember his name, but I can't. But yeah, you have absolutely wild hair, and that's what happens when you hang out with Connor. Very fertile men in a camper van.
Fertile, oh my God. I mean, yeah, it's been a long week, right? I just got back from 4-5 days on the road with Connor, Pete Premier 2 and Ludwig. It was pretty good. We did some cool stuff. We go-karting, not through Tokyo, so we're
Right.
good. We don't cause mayhem and madness.
Don't do that, no, on a proper track.
What else did we do? We did something else. We went rafting.
It's like a review of like your school holidays. What did you do? We went go-karting because that was the best thing. Can you remember anything else? Nope.
we did go rafting, and the best bit of the rafting was at one point after the rapids, the lovely woman who was escorting us, Rinka, I think her name was, she was like, okay, now battle to throw each other off the boat like fucking pirate ship. And Connor, Pete and Ludwig like self-destroyed each other. They both knocked each other off immediately.
Right.
And Connor and I like battled it out a little bit like sumo wrestlers. And try as I might to hold on to the boat, I failed, and he kicked me off. But as I went, I got hold of his watch and pulled it with me, and it went underwater and lost it. His brand new Samsung watch. And we only noticed...
you stole his watch.
We only noticed an hour later. Like he was like, "Oh no, where's my watch?" And his chat were like, "Oh, you might have lost it on the boat." And we went back and rewatched the video while we're driving, and you can see a moment of me grab the watch and pull it under as a moment of karma. It was so good. It was the best part of the trip.
Oh
Hands
no,
down.
Chris! I can't believe you stole
Revenge.
Connor's watch and handed it over to the sea people, the sea mermaids.
Somebody's going to find it in a few hundred years, like Gollum when he finds the ring at the bottom of the river. It's going to be like
Aren't
that.
like Samsung watches the sort of thing you get whenever you upgrade your mobile phone? Whenever I upgrade my whenever I get a new Samsung, they always go, "Do you want these headphones or something?" There's always something free with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was his prize watch. I did feel a bit bad, but also not. Like, he kicked me off the boat. You know, I'm not going down without a fight. If I'm going down, I'm taking his watch with me.
One of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. Yeah, that's how it works, isn't it?
That's exactly how it works. But no, it was a good trip, and it was just like a boys' holiday, really. I love on Journey Across Japan, we do like educational things. We try and teach people about the culture of Japan.
Yeah.
On this one, we just went rafting, trampolining, and played mini golf. But it kind of works for the stream, right? You got to have a different. You got to constantly do things on stream to entertain people, and you know, you're not entertained. Throw him off a raft, trampoline, do a mini golf. It was, you know, it's relentless. But luckily, the other three were very energetic, and I just spent most of the time just sleeping in an RV in the front, eating.
Do you sort of find yourself, because I think I've spoken about this before, but like I've got a couple of sort of mutual friends who've never met my partner's friends, who are incredibly kind of like, they're like Premier 2. They're like kind of very wow out there sort of thing, and I'm usually known as that person who's like wow out there, but nothing can compare to how Pete can rock a stream or rock a video or rock a room. Like, he is like a master of ceremonies, like charisma bomb. He's incredible, and
he's
like
a force of nature.
whenever there's someone like that floating around, I just sort of regress into myself and sort of go, look, you don't need anything from me. That guy is your man, sort of thing. But it's and friends have sort of commented, God, Pete gets really quiet. Does he not like that guy? He's going, no, I just he's just doing his thing, so I'm just quiet. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird how you like bounce off people and stuff. But
I'm the sort of person who, if they're not like engaged in the conversation or engaged in that thing, I'm off in Narnia. I'm thinking of something else. I've not got the attention span for rudimentary conversation with lots of people. So,
Right. Okay.
but then I'd just come in, say something snarky, and be like, "I hate sandwiches. I hate my life," and grumpy, and then just go back to sleep again in the corner of the RV.
Yeah.
Like a
Perfect
troll who's been
streamers.
awoken.
You probably would never have started sort of just streaming, would you? Like if streaming was around
mate.
when you first started, you still would have probably picked up the old camera and did some some YouTube and stuff.
The highlight for me was trampolining, probably, actually. Apart from stealing the watch. We were on trampolines, and I used to do... It reminded me, I used to do trampolining when I was like 13, 14, 12, and it was really fun, and I got into the swing of things. It was good stuff, and I felt like a born-again 14-year-old boy. Trampoliner. Although my life as a trampoliner ended abruptly when I was 14. I went on my trampoline in my garden with my friend David, and he did a seat drop where you sort of sit down and bounce back up. On my wrist, there was this ominous crunching noise, and we were like, ah ha 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 ha, ah ha ha, and pulled back my jumper, and the bone was just sticking out my wrist.
Oh,
and I was fucked.
No, thank you.
It was horrible, man.
And ever since you've been waging a one-man war against people's wrists and things that go on people's wrists. So good. Good that it's all come around full circle. And trampoline. Awful. I mean, did you ever have that situation? Presumably you had a bit of a garden that allowed you to have one of those big trampolines that people have. Did the trampoline ever blow away? Because I always find that very interesting when it's a really windy day and people's trampolines aren't tethered down properly.
This trampoline was so big and so heavy, it never once blew away. It was a big this trampoline, my parents had a small garden, the trampoline took up about 40% of the garden space. Our garden was more trampoline than garden, to put it bluntly. Okay. And it sort of, it's one of those moments where it set forth a weird turn of events, having my wrist broken, because it was my left wrist, and I'm a left-handed, I write with my left hand. And it was just before I had to do lots of really important exams.
In your teenage years, Chris, this is a nightmare.
It was kind of good though. Like, this is the important thing, right? I wasn't a great student. I was a bit rubbish. And it meant that for all the exams, maths, physics, science, English, whatever, I had to dictate the answers. I got a special room and I got a member of staff, and I had to dictate the answers to the member of staff, and then she would do the answers for me.
Oh,
right?
My God. That adds a layer of stress, doesn't it?
No, it was brilliant, because in the maths one, it'd be like 3 add 5 equals, and I'd be like 9. And she'd be like, and I'd be like, 8. And she would like do it for me. Yeah. And sort of whenever I did something wrong in the test, she'd be like, and I'd be like, oh yes, of course it's CO2, yeah, carbon. And so I got the best scores that year of my life, and I got an award for most improved student, and it was solely because I cheated through dictating answers to a lovely woman.
Maths fraud,
yeah. Maths fraud.
Well, good on
in Japan.
You've not learned, You've not learned anything in your life, so that's great stuff. So that's why Chris never pays any taxes, because he can't figure it out. Can't do it.
Dictate to the wrong person. But no, it was
dictated to somebody.
It was weird, isn't it? You wouldn't think, it's like Freakonomics, breaking your wrist would improve your exam results, but there's that connection there. And if you want to win awards, if you want to win awards for most improved student, just break your wrist and hope that the member of staff that helps you out is benevolent.
I mean, you did get lucky there. I mean, you could have had someone who's just like...
True.
Yeah, 3 plus 5, 5 equals 10. Yeah. I'll write that right down, Chris. Well done. Great work.
I remember on the English exam, we had to write a story. I remember I made her write like 3 paragraphs of this story I whipped up on the spot. And then after about 30 minutes, I went, actually, this story's shit, cross it out. And she looked like she wanted to murder me, and she'd cross out all this story she'd written that I dictated to her and started again. I think that was the beginning of the end of our relationship. But fortunately, all the maths exams had been done at that point, so I'd exploited the situation to the best of my abilities. I've
been watching a lot of I'm going through Mad Men again. What a TV show that is! But you remind me of Don Draper. Just sat there. So take a letter, take a note.
Well, it's been a weird old week, though. Before I went on the RV trip, I had a trip with Charla in Takayama, beautiful area, mountainous region of Japan. And I was hoping to film something. And we, on the one hand, I was in the most beautiful part of Japan, watching an ancient craftsman make a spoon out of a single piece of wood. And then, on the other hand, if I pulled out my phone, I was in the middle of a massive, silly YouTube drama It was like Apocalypse on my phone. It was just this really weird dichotomy where, on the one hand, life is brilliant, in the mountains, carve a spoon, yeah. Pull out your phone, go on Twitter, bang, there's just shit everywhere. And I guess we'll talk about that a bit now. You loved it, though. I know Pete Donaldson loves drama, ladies and gentlemen. The moment there's some drama, he's like, hungry dog, what's going on?
No,
like a dog,
not
bone
in the
dangled
slightest.
before him. He was so excited.
You said, Pete, things are going on in my life that I cannot control. And I said, Chris... Weirdly, the algorithm has already served me a delicious hot pizza pie of drama. And I was like, wow, this is something else. So run us through the start, middle and end of it all, really. I mean, it ends in a weird way, but run us through what actually happened.
Well, I went on stream with Connor. He was like, come over to my house. We must play GeoGuessr. I want to show you who's boss. And I destroyed him at GeoGuessr.
Hell, by the way, you're very good at GeoGuessr.
Yes.
I was like, you're like that savant who does it online. You're like, I've been there, here it is, bang.
I was impressed. Like, it was, Connor described me as Slumdog Millionaire, because whenever there was a photo, I was like, I was there last Tuesday. I went there 3 years ago. I was there 5 days ago. And, there'd be, the camera would just show, like, a picture of, like, a rice field with a leaf, and I'd be like, oh yes, I was there a week ago, and he'd be like, fucking hell, that was outrageous. You can watch it, it's on YouTube. It was a lot of fun.
Calling.
That was good stuff. Good. But before that, before we had the fun stuff, Connor gave me like the strongest coffee known to man. It must have had like 1 billion milligrams of caffeine in, because I drank it and I became this angry, bitter, resentful young man. Or maybe I was just myself, probably just me, isn't it? But he asked me, what did he ask me? He was like, what do you think of MrBeast? And I was like, I don't really like MrBeast, yada yada. And I started this sort of chain of opinions about MrBeast and Logan Paul, more importantly, that then got a lot of traction, and that got clipped and it got shared online and it got all over the place. It was on this news website called Dexito, and it's like the big news influencer website on Twitter. And it went there and it got like 160,000 likes, and everybody saw it. And there was articles written about it, and it was just like, bloody hell, who'd have thought an angry rant over some coffee in the moments leading up to GeoGuessr could have such a profound effect. And the crux of it was why I don't like MrBeast and why I especially don't like Logan Paul. And have you seen the rant? Do you know anything about it?
I've seen the rant. So, like, you basically said that MrBeast and MrBeast's people see themselves as being this altruistic charitable kind of influencers, charitable video guys, when in reality it is very much all about, let's say, tax and just doing weird videos that follow the algorithm. And you basically made the point that every sort of YouTuber slates MrBeast, but never says it on cam. They never sort of say it in front of people. I think that's what was said.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to preface this by saying I don't think MrBeast is like inherently bad. I don't think he's an evil person or anything like that. I just don't like his content, right? And I think that's okay to say that. But a year ago, it wasn't okay to say that out loud, I feel. And you won't really find YouTubers talking about that. You know, behind closed doors, I've probably met about 25 YouTubers over the last 2 to 3 years. Some of them very big YouTubers, and and for the most part, they're not fans of his content, but they know it's best to just sort of shut up and not blow any bridges, burn any bridges, so to speak.
He'd love that. He does that sort of thing all the time.
He's a Mr. I blew down 100 bridges in a day.
I burned all my bridges. Oh, what? You must be really lonely, Mr. Donaldson. No, I blew them up with TNT.
But the reason people don't talk about it is because they don't want to burn bridges with MrBeast, which is fair enough.
Right.
And also, there was a point where it was hard to scrutinise his content because he would always throw out the argument, but I built a well in Nicaragua. I built a house in Kenya. And that's cool. And there's no doubt we cannot take away some of the great work Beast Philanthropy has done. And, even a year or two ago, I watched some of those videos and I was like, this is cool. He's helping out places around the world. Philanthropy. I can't even say the word philanthropy. Help me out here, Pete. Philanthropy is good, right? It's good, and there's no doubt about that. But I don't like his content. I've always felt it quite vapid and quite boring, and he'll do these incredible things like, I built a fucking city. I mean, he built Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. That was quite interesting. But you watch it, and it was just really boring. And I don't think that's just a me problem. I think that's lots of people I know problem. People over 25 watch it, they go, wow, he did this incredible thing, but there's no story or interesting kind of component to it. It feels like things happening, and it feels like you have to have these amazing big events to compensate for the lack of an intriguing plot or people you want to watch or engaging kind of commentary, right?
It's basically he's too big to really give a shit about whatever anybody's criticizing anyway. He's like Microsoft, so I don't understand why he's of the scale where he'll be like the first sort of billionaire kind of like YouTubey guy, won't he? So like
he'll be up there. Yeah,
he's so big, and but it's kind of like what happens to a YouTuber when you just follow the algorithm. And you're just basically Cocomelon. You're sort of going, right, is this fire truck red enough that I'm going to smash into the yellow enough wall? And it's just kind of like following the algorithm, like focus testing each component of a video until there's no humanity left. And it's all just kind of, it may as well have been done by AI. We've driven this big thing into another thing. And it's for children, basically. It's not really for us. So,
true.
And I'm pejoratively grouping me and you together, but it's really not for anyone who's wants something more than that, I suppose. But he is too big he is big enough to be criticised because he's not really a YouTuber anymore. He's a wallpaper man.
The bit that pissed me off was a year ago, Sean, Jacksepticeye, really cool YouTuber, who does a lot of philanthropy himself and has done a lot of amazing charity work. He was in an interview where he said something to the effect of, do you like MrBeast? He was like, no. And they were like, why? And he said, because YouTube became all about money and views rather than having fun, which is an accurate opinion. I think to some degree, objectively, that's accurate. And most people that I know behind closed doors agree with that. And then MrBeast sort of came back and was like, I inspire children to give money or something. And that was the point. I was like, oh, so you don't like it when people have just their opinions about... And that was the bit where, for me, I was like, his sort of childish outburst to that was a sort of triggering point. Combined with, people behind closed doors saying, I've been in a video with him, it wasn't very fun. It wasn't great. And so it all came together in that moment. But for me, the trigger point was simple. It was the fact he teamed up with Logan Paul to make crappy fucking lunchly snacks, right? Which I just saw today.
Are they sort of like Lunchables? Are they little little thing to go with your bottle of Prime?
This is interesting though. Like in the UK, Lunchables, they're not healthy. They're not healthy by any measure, but they are a bit healthier than the American ones, where I think American regulations are lower, right?
Fewer yoga mats in there.
But they have this Lunchly box, and just today I saw like a few posts of people saying that there's mold in it because it's not sealed properly, and some ghastly images. And it was sort of spun as this healthy alternative to Lunchables, even though it looks just appalling. And it might well be healthier than the American Lunchables. But it was this sort of teaming up with Logan Paul. And when you've had to go on national Japanese TV and defend foreign YouTubers against the act of one person, he did a symphony of fucking awful shit. Of course, I'm not going to like that individual, And I think him pairing with Logan Paul just really rubbed me the wrong way, because at the end of the rainbow, the end of the MrBeast rainbow, I think we're meant to believe there is something greater than ourselves, He's doing all the philanthropy. He wants to be a bigger man. He's doing it to help the world. But then you look at Lunchley and you go, oh, it's just about the money, isn't it? He just wants to make a few $1 billion and whatnot. And that was the moment I was like, oh, that's sad. I did say on my rant, I said something silly like, is YouTube all about money, blah, 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 money, money. I don't think I have a problem with money. I don't have a problem with people making money or anything like that. But I like to think if you're going to make money, do it with principles. Do it to solve problems. Do it to help people. Don't do it with a man who filmed somebody who had tragically taken their own life in a forest. And don't do it to make crappy lunchboxes. I feel like that was a real error of judgment, and I don't think that's a radical opinion to say that, right?
Yeah, Do you know what the most annoying thing about Logan Paul is?
He's a good wrestler, yes, as you say every week. He's a brilliant wrestler. I love him. I will post it on my wall.
No matter how you feel, the most annoying thing. But that is annoying because these wrestling guys, they spend all of their lives training to become wrestlers and main event pay-per-view acts, and he's managed to do it in about 6 months, and that is the most annoying thing for me. That's the worst thing he's done. He's become very good at wrestling in a very short period of time, and he's bloody annoying at it.
It's like saying Colonel Gaddafi built a road that went through Tripoli that was really good. Like, it's not. It's not
I love that road. I love that road.
You've probably driven down it. Yeah, I bet you have.
Gaddafi's son, great footballer. He was a mad footballer.
Oh, fuck off.
I think he was the head of the Libyan. I think he was the head of the Libyan football organisation. So look,
don't start
good
on
things
Gaddafi.
and bad things about Colonel Gaddafi. Let's do the lot. MrBeast, Logan Paul, Colonel Gaddafi. Who we move on to?
Gaddafi would have loved Lunchley and its low sodium content and its prime energy with its electrolytes. They're often cited as making it good. Fucking electrolytes, honestly.
Don't ask Asmongold about Colonel Gaddafi. He's probably got some very strong opinions. And that was another leg of it, I suppose. He was reviewing your review, and I've spoken about Asmongold on this show before, and
He's your favourite.
I do. He's my favourite. I don't know what he does. I know reaction.
Well, he just reacts to things.
Reaction. Yeah, but it's just be good, be bad, be annoying, be whatever, but don't be boring. And that guy's boring.
Yes, and I mean he got cancelled like 2 days after his bloody React video. So what a bellend, honestly.
Yeah, it emboldened him. Having a go at you, having a go at an entire race of people. Good, great stuff.
But I mean, I wandered into this thing. It's funny how like a 10-minute rant got shared so widely and whatnot, and behind closed doors, because again, nobody will ever say anything out loud. I got quite a few messages from people saying that was a good thing to say. I agree with that. But I'm just going to hide here and not say anything, and that's fair enough. I felt a bit like throwing myself out in front of like a firing squad to some extent, but luckily it's a firing squad where I'll be hand in hand with Jacksepticeye. But
have you kind of received much kind of a blowback from the Beastables, the I don't know what the little monsters were, Lady Gaga calls her collection of fans the little monsters or something. What do we have for the collective noun for a MrBeast fan? Have you had much blowback? Is it like criticising One Direction or criticising Taylor Swift? Have you had much kind of like blowback from the Swifties?
A little bit on Twitter. There was a few people saying, you've opened a bar, all you care about's money. I'm like, well, our bar.
Don't open a bar.
We've made a bar that's doing quite well. People enjoy it. It's not designed to like milk viewers for money. Otherwise, people would realise that very quickly. It's designed to be an objectively good cocktail bar. But again, I'm not pairing with a man who has done some unspeakably awful shit. And I think the thing is, with Logan Paul, I think I would, even I, who had to go on TV and defend him for doing the unthinkable, the unspeakable, right? Even I would forgive and forget that if he had drawn a line under it and moved on, because that is an objectively life-changing event. What he did should change you for the better. You should come out of that and be like, I fucked up. What I did was appalling and abhorrent. I'll be a better person. And there is nothing to indicate that is the case. I literally saw him like, his wife was like giving birth to their kid, and she was like draped in like Lunchley boxes and Prime, and he was just like holding up Prime boxes, and it's like, wow, you took the most beautiful moment of your life and you turned it into a commercial.
That is objectively funny.
Enjoy it. You love Logan Paul.
I just think if you sign up to marrying Logan Paul, you kind of know that is someone in that Prime bottle. Is someone going to come out of that Prime bottle? Like it's just kind of part of nothing is off. And I imagine like if you're a fan of Logan Paul, you don't, that sort of stuff doesn't even touch the sides. But for someone who never consumes his content, really, I'd sort of go, that is abhorrent. So abhorrent, it's quite funny. Do you know what I mean? So
I do. Indeed.
It is, but it's not a life I would choose. But I think some people like Logan Paul, like MrBeast, they're too big to for.
Oh yeah, like
they're too big for criticism to actually make any difference. Some people are uncancelable, so they can do what they want. So that's why I don't understand why MrBeast is so like his content is so asinine, so kind of basic, so kind of like big thing hits big thing or television show. Like you remember when he did that Squid Games thing, and everyone was like, and it was he's doing the real life Squid Games, and at the end of him basically just doing Squid Games, and then all of the hooks and accoutrement of Squid Games, and a direct copy. At the end, he said, yeah, and thanks for the Squid Game guys for making Squid Games, for helping out. It's like, you just did Squid Games. That's their product, you know. You stole it. I don't know. It's
I probably paid for the rights, but like I watched Squid Game. It was alright. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I watched the TV show. It was right, and it was interesting because there was characters and story and a plot, and his recreation of that was about as fun as looking at a wall and going, like, I will say the behind the scenes video of how they built the sets and how they did it on MrBeast channel was fascinating, and how the production team did it. And at the end of the day, MrBeast, there's some incredible people that work for him. That cannot be denied. There's amazing people in his production team. There's amazing people working for Beast Philanthropy. And I think there's probably people out there working for that organisation thinking, oh, fuck, man, we thought he was noble and he had a greater goal than us all. Oh wait, he's partnered with Logan Paul to sell Lunchley boxes. Ah, fuck. And I think there's probably a lot of people that think that. Oh, fuck's sake, you know. But it was all triggered by a meeting I had with his manager at the time, a guy called Reed. And Reed's not a bad person. He's just a talent agency person from LA, and they are all very much money driven. And I remember having a meeting with several talent agencies in LA. And it's always the most depressing conversation you'll ever have. It's always like, you sort of go in and, you know, they never ask you what you want to do. They just sort of say like, you know, if you want to be more like MrBeast, if you want to focus on click-through rate and do crazy big things, and we can help you with that. I'm like, well, it would be cool to make documentaries and short films and stuff. And like, yeah, but if you want to be more like MrBeast, we can help you with that. And it's just like, I don't want to be like MrBeast.
You do get a lot of people in. If you go for any meeting in Los Angeles and like New
it's
York,
fucking
like,
depressing.
It's just kind of like I'm always fascinated about whenever we've got like a bit of IP to sort of shop around. Like we have meetings with people in America, and it's interesting. Within 5 seconds of the show of the meeting, somebody is name dropping like an actor.
Oh, there's
and
always that.
It's incredible to see these people who are just like who find themselves just with a relatively well paid job, who just get in meetings and go, "Have you heard of Uma Thurman?" And it's just like, what? And you're going, "I can get Uma Thurman on your podcast," and you go, A, no, you can't, and B, what? Like, it's just kind of like this kind of like village built around these kind of like stars, I suppose. So if you were kind of like a MrBeast character, you have basically, you do have a whole town of people servicing your image and servicing your videos, and you've got a lot of mouths to feed, and it's a big old business. So maybe you have to you do feel a responsibility to follow the algorithm or follow these business opportunities when they present themselves. It's an incredible thing to have to do.
I want to work with Uma Thurman. I want to give me Uma Thurman to work with. That'd be awesome.
Uma Thurman in Japan.
For me, like, you've always, at the end of everything you do, if you're a motivated person, as I am, like, clearly I've got ambition and motivation, there's a guiding star at the end of the rainbow that fucking guides you in everything you do, and that pushes you forward, and what that is matters. For me, it isn't, I want to be the biggest, I want to be the best, I want the most views. It's just, I kind of want to have the most fun. And, you know, I could have taken different routes at different junctures of my career that I could have made more profits from, essentially. But at what cost? I will say, you know, this year more than others, I focused on making more money, you know, because I'm working on a documentary, the earthquake documentary, that's really close to my heart, and it has a hefty production budget because we've worked with incredible people to produce it. So I've kind of thought more about that, like, how can I fund this documentary? Because it's not going to have a sponsorship in it. I'm not going to be like, these victims, what happened here is terrible. By the way, what they need is a Tokyo treat box. You know, you can't have a fucking ad segment halfway through something important. So as somebody who wants to get more down the avenue of producing documentaries that are not sponsored and have complete creative control, then that's something that I focus on. That's my kind of guiding star at the moment myself. But I think, for a lot of people, MrBeast the guiding star was, he's helping people with charity and whatnot. I mean, I've watched a few of those videos, like I said, and some of them are genuinely inspiring. Sometimes I feel, and as Connor said in the rant, he said that he feels like MrBeast puts himself front and centre too often in those videos, right? When it should be about the people and the place and the story, right? Rather than the act of giving money, it should be about the subject, the people in those videos. Imagine if I went to Fukushima and did the documentary and I'm interviewing people about the nuclear disaster. Like the farmer, remember the farmer, the guy that had lost his livelihood, his farm, and he had 200 cows that he was looking after, and he wanted to share his story with the world, right, and tell the world about how the reactor had destroyed his farm and the livelihoods of people in Fukushima. Imagine if halfway through I just went, I'm going to stop you right there because I'm literally giving you $10,000 in a chocolate bar. And he'd be like, oh, sold this there, arigato. And I'm like, yeah, there you go, have the money.
I'm going to fix your cataracts. I don't have cataracts. I have excellent eyesight.
But I think he can do all the philanthropy stuff, but he can do it without having to put himself necessarily front and centre. But objectively impressive stuff. But I don't like his actual normal content, and I think it's okay to say that out loud. And I commend Jacksepticeye for saying that a year ago. What everyone was thinking but was too afraid to say, even though literally 90% of YouTubers I meet are like, I cannot stand his content. And I can tell you, out of all those people, which ones love his content? There's 2 or 3 YouTubers I met, and they really love his content, but the vast majority don't. But but I did script a whole video after the whole thing. I scripted a video, and I was going to do it, but I just thought, oh, this isn't my fight. I don't really care. I love my life here, and I love what I do, and this is not a world I want to get sucked into. I said my piece, moved on. That's it, and that's it. I want to draw a line under that. And in fact, I deleted Twitter off my phone, which I should have done a long fucking time ago because I hate that fucking platform. And actually, my life has been a lot happier since. It was Ludwig who told me, good old Ludwig, who told me, get rid of Twitter because he did it. And I did it. And it's nice not having it in your pocket to look at and fill your eyes with filth and shit, the sort of shite content that comes up on it now.
Thanks to the rather confusing, obscure way you have to log back into Twitter, thanks to Elon's loss of two-factor authentication, you need things like backup codes and stuff. I've yet to log back into Twitter for about 3 weeks. So, yeah, my life's been quite peaceful and quite calm, though I did manage to see a lot of people who'd bought Coolish in the last week. Honestly, my Twitter is just people sending me pictures of Coolish going, this is nice, this is nice.
Fucking Coolish ice cream. But
I'm going to have a Mr. Donaldson versus Coolish, re-up.
MrBeast style video.
My own flavour.
I gave 10,000 people Coolish ice cream. I will say thank you to everyone who sort of supported me on publicly throughout this and liked or commented or whatever.
Well, I think I texted at the time with the Asmongold thing. Like Asmongold was giving you and Connor a bit of a rough time, and you could tell all of his. He's chat shit. He'll get banged. As Jamie Vardy, the footballer, once said, "Chat shit, get banged." He chat shit, and in the comments, you could clearly see people were going, no, I completely agree. MrBeast is trash. He was like, really?
Like I said, I don't want to just come out as, we're entitled in this life to have opinions. If someone was like, oh, I can't stand abroad in Japan, he's arrogant and dismissive and blah, 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 I'll be like, fair enough. You don't have to like me. I'm not going to be like, how dare you? I raised money on a cycle for charity and I inspired children. You should be allowed to have opinions. Have your opinions. I won't shoot you down for them. And thank you to everyone that backed me up.
I nearly did in the YouTube of a recent video because a man said that I was he heard me in a South Yorkshire co-op doing co-op radio.
What the fuck?
And said you were a really good DJ and you're on co-op radio. I'm not on co-op radio. So I'd like to... I very nearly... I never respond to any YouTube comments, and they are, wild and wonderful accusations about this and that. But I was not on co-op radio, sir.
That's hilarious.
How dare you?
You definitely were. You definitely are. That's brilliant. I love it.
I've not radioed for years.
When are we getting our Lunchly sponsorship, Pete? Oh, the delicious taste of mould in my mouth. Flavourful. Electrolytes from the fucking E. coli.
Have they not sent you one?
No.
Because they usually send most people. They'll probably send you one eventually, just for a laugh, so you can.
I've had people have contacted me from MrBeast Empire and like, would you like Feastables chocolate bars? I'm like, no, unless I've got to set fire to something on an island and keep the fire going, I'll throw them on then. No, I don't want Feastables. Keep that shit away from me.
Well, I always found his when they launched that chocolate bar, I found his vernacular about his chat about getting his fans to go in and tidy up the chocolates in the stores. 'Cause, like, I think they had the sort of packaging they sort of came in were a bit like loose, or it would get messed up, and MrBeast would go to supermarkets and go, "Hey man, the chocolates are in disarray." Instead of getting getting his team of people to go and tidy them up.
Do that with my book, Pete.
That is true. There's a nice bookshop on the high street that always has your in the travel section has your book front and centre, and I resent that because there's no football ramble book.
Good.
Let's make that very clear.
Keep it that way. I want if you this is a thing, guy. If you're ever in a British bookshop and you see my book, put it at the front. Put the book at the front.
Don't you be bad as MrBeast. Get your own people to do it.
I raise money for charity. I'm good. I'm inscrutable. Blah, 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 blah. Fucking hell. All right.
You did. You were part of Connor's run for a while.
Yeah. I mean, Connor's run of
Connor's run. Remember the run you did? It was a run. No, cycle-a-thon.
Fucking hell, you forgot the cycle. You thought it was a run.
I forgot about the bike. I forgot about the bike element. I thought you guys were just running. I don't see bike. I've got an eye issue that prevents me from seeing bikes, and you quite simply have to tell me when there's a bike there, for crying out loud.
Oh, but yeah,
That's the podcast.
This idea that philanthropy is it creates a get out of free jail card, right? That's not a new concept, right? That's not a new concept at all. And I'm all for charitable giving. I do things off camera that I don't. I hate this culture where now it's like, it's only worth giving money to charity if we're filming it and showing it on camera. When I donate things, I don't feel the need to be like, hey guys, and take a selfie of myself like with a fucking checkbook or something. The most charitable people I know aren't billionaires and millionaires. They're people who are just doing their bit in everyday life. There's a friend of mine in Sendai, he used to give his blood every month and try and, do blood donation, and people... people don't need to always have a camera on their face showing their charitable giving. I think for me, that's always a little bit of a red flag. So, I don't know. Food for thought.
It is the new kind of... It was quite gauche for a while to sort of see kind of stunt YouTubers just sort of like giving 50 quid to homeless people, and then it just becomes stunt after stunt after stunt, and it was just like that's kind of how it went for the longest time, and MrBeast is kind of the end of that. It's more than it's not there's more than performative. I mean, presuming there are taxation
tax
write-offs as well that you can do. So it's like when you're in the. I have this long-running argument with another podcast that I do, Logan Picture, where I resent going to a petrol station and them asking me to round it up for charity. Round up, you give us 25p for charity. It's like, that's coming off your tax bill. I've got my direct debits. I've got my charitable causes I get in. I may pop a needle in my arm sometimes and give blood. I really need to clarify that. I may pop a needle in my arm for charity every now and again. Like, it's like you... the whole tax write-off thing, I resent it because they're not doing it for the right reasons. Fine, there is an altruistic net gain, I think, but it's still shit because it's not your charity, and it's just kind of like they're not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it because it's a tax write-off. So yeah.
I mean, if I went out and made a video just handing out money to people or building like a house, sure, that's good. It'll look good in the video, but at the end of the day, it's about long-term impact. And I remember reading some articles about philanthropy influencers going to Africa building like a well, and then the well isn't maintained because it's sort of it's for a video, right? They turn up, I built a well, yeah, hey, bye everyone, back on the Learjet, back to America, and then the well gets fucked up basically because no one's maintaining it, and there's not much thought put into the long-term sustainability of those charitable practices. And you can read it up. I'm not making this up. It's a very interesting topic.
Those things. But you have to kind of. I worked with when I was at my radio station. We used to do like a trip to. We went to Kenya one year. Went to a few different places in Africa, and we basically just did some kind of like awareness broadcast, because I think the government had a you give £1, we give £1 kind of agreement with a few charities, and some practical action is one of them. And basically, they spend so much time. It's not just about coming and putting a fucking well in the ground, which, you know, what's that going to cost? A couple £100. It is about engagement with the elders of any kind of village. I guess it's an engagement with the people who are on the ground and maintaining those relationships. And you just can't just turn up and just do something and just do something. You have to. It has to be a long-term project that the people of the towns are kind of invested in. So
it makes me think, you know, when Connor and I and Pete and the team, Ian, Paul, Navi, did the recent cyclothon and raised an incredible $1 million thanks to the amazing people that watched and tuned in and supported us more than anyone, you know. Was it worth it because Connor and I didn't go to a hospital in Chicago and find someone having a blood transfusion and take a photo with a bucket of money and a big smiling fucking grin? You know, that feels like what the world of MrBeast wants, you know, photos of that rather than the actual fundraising element itself. But anyway, I don't know. But thanks guys to everyone who supported me through that. And we'll draw a line under that now, and that's the thing that happened. And
that's the podcast for this week. But I think it's important for you to kind of nail down your thoughts, because sometimes when you're on stream, it's like bah 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 bah, got to entertain, bah, bah, bah,
it was a bit,
and then a week-long shitstorm, and then it just starts to settle. Asmongold is fired from Twitch for a few weeks, and then you're kind of you're left to kind of like pick up the pieces about what you actually meant, what you would have said if you'd had a little bit of space and time. And I think that's only fair.
I think I'm at the end of my tether with shit influencers doing shitty things. You know, whether it's streamers or YouTubers or whoever, there's just a lot of shitty behaviour, and it needs to be called out more often. And I don't think I'm the person to do it. But I can't contain myself sometimes, and I think especially when I had to go on TV and rant about, you know, and defend awful things. But anyway, a line under that. Have we got time for a fax machine?
Let's do one email and then let's get out of here. That's how it works. Choose your favourite one, or shall I choose my favourite one?
You choose your favourite one, Pete. Happy birthday.
Choose my. Thanks, mate.
Make-A-Wish Foundation with Pete Dawson. You can pick your favourite question. Just this once.
What a lovely treat. Let's have a look. What have we got in here? Right, okay, beautiful.
Choose wisely.
This is from James. Hi, comrades. Many moons ago, I built a really great relationship with a Japanese colleague who'd come to the UK to study English. Knowing that gifts are important in Japanese culture, I brought her a very pretty modern cup and saucer at some expense. On our return to Japan, she sent a letter thanking me for the gift and telling me she'd given it to her mother. I've since often pondered on this. Can you pass on a gift that was intended to you, for you, or is this bad form? By gifting it to her mother, was this showing respect since the older generation are revered? What do you reckon? All the best. I mean, it sounds very much like Chris. James is a bit upset that the beautiful modern cup and saucer at some expense was handed over to mum. Maybe she just wasn't into, I don't know, cup and saucers. Maybe that just wasn't her vibe. Maybe she was living a more transient lifestyle and she worried that her cup and saucer bought at some expense was going to get smashed. So the safest place would be in a cabinet at mum and dad's house.
I wonder. It is a bit weird. No, the fact that she told James that is a bit odd. That's not normal behaviour. I love that by gifting it to her mother, was she showing respect? No, she just didn't want the cup and saucer.
No,
it's as simple as that.
No, I think it's a nice thing. I think it's kind of like, I love my mother. She would get a lot out of this. It's a beautiful present. Thank you very much. I think that was if she'd have said thanks, I threw it on top of a bus stop, like you know what I mean, like an old VHS. Like I think that's a nice thing. I would probably go, okay, weird but fine, absolutely fine.
I think it was a salacious act, and she didn't want to cut. I wonder if she told her mother, I bought this for you, Mum. This is a lovely cup and saucer.
Yes,
I bought it at my own expense. Here you go. I feel like that might have happened. And fair play to poor old James.
She probably got back from the airport. She's like, I forgot about omiyagi. I forgot about some omiyagi from the UK.
The moral of the story, James, is never help anyone. And that's a fine moral to end
Good point, actually,
this week's show on. Keep the stories, questions, comments coming in to Reborn Japan Podcast at gmail.com or right away in the comments down below. But for now, guys, have yourself a great few days. We'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Reborn Japan Podcast. Bye for now. Have a good one.